Hey, what's up pianists and piano lovers of YouTube? My name is Jeremy Siskind. This is my phenomenal book called Playing Solo Jazz Piano. Hey, it looks just like that one. What a coincidence. You can buy it at my website, jeremysiskind.com. I'll send you a signed copy. Today, I want to talk about creating inner voice movement. Something that pianists, I think, are obsessed with because we hear Bill Evans do it so well, we hear Keith Jarrett do it so well, we hear Brad Mehldau do it so well. And so I've categorized kind of 5 different big buckets of inner voice movement we can practice, so that hopefully it helps. I'm going to be using the tune When I Fall in Love to demonstrate, and actually we're just going to focus in, we're going to zoom in on one measure of that tune. Let me play just a little bit so you can get it in your ear, and then I'll pinpoint the measure that we're going to focus on. Second ending. Okay, so we're going to focus on this measure right here. Wait for it. Right here, it's an F minor 7. Going to a B flat 7. And the reason we're focusing on that measure is because the melody's not active in that measure. And I'd say the first thing that you should think about in terms of inner voice movement is you want to be active with inner voices when the melody's inactive. Of course, it's not 100% of the time. You can find places where you want to make both the melody and the inner voices active, but in general, that's the way music works. When one thing is being really active and happening, then you want your other elements to kind of stay in the background and vice versa. So we have lots of melody here, but then as we get to this measure, nothing's really happening. Okay. So let me show you the different categories of inner voice movement. And in each one, we're going to be talking about both like what is actually happening, and then I'm going to show you how we can decorate it. And these, I would encourage you to think about them as 2 separate issues. So number 1 is anything moving? And if so, what? And the second part is, how are we decorating it, making it ornamental, making it fancier? So in this first one, actually nothing's moving. We're going to basically just decorate a note within a single chord. Okay, and I've chosen this A flat. If you're curious, I have this kind of voicing going where from bottom to top, I'm using F, C, G, and then A flat, E flat. And one thing to note is that for these inner voice movements to work, you're going to have to be very light on the pedal, changing the pedal frequently. If not, you're going to get kind of a mixed, messy kind of blur for your inner note movement. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to decorate this A flat. So here's this first example. So okay, so I'm doing a little, we would probably call that an enclosure. I'm going above and below the note. Here I'm doing it diatonically, meaning within the scale. We're in the key of we're in the key of E as an elephant flat. So I'm using a G natural and a B flat. In the second example, after the first double bar, I'm leading into it chromatically. And notice the articulation on this inner line. It's able to be staccato because I'm very light on the pedal. I could play that more firmly, but I like a little bit of playfulness. I like making it a little bit short. If I wanted my fanciest decoration, you can see in this third example, I'm doing both things. I'm doing the enclosure, and then I'm doing the chromatic. And again, I like it to be a little playful, so I'm putting in just a little bit of separation. Notice if I use too much pedal, it sounds like this. It sounds awful. So I pick pick up the pedal for that portion. Okay, so all I'm doing is I've got this A flat, and I'm just decorating it a little bit within the same chord. Now, number 2 is that I'm going to use the same note between 2 different chords. So I'm going to stick actually with this A flat, and the A flat is the 3rd of the F minor 7, but it's also the 7th of the B flat 7, right? So I can kind of decorate and lead in to the B flat 7. And if I do this, I have a little bit more time, so I can make some more kind of intensive decorations. What all these decorations are going to have in common is that they're going to lead in by step to the note, and almost always by half step. So you can see this goes, I know I've very sloppily written a sharp, but it's a G, F sharp, G, A flat, so it's moving in chromatically to that note. So here's how this sounds in context. Okay. Or I can instead of dipping down and coming to the note, I can go above and go into the note. Okay. I don't think I did the rhythm as written, but I hope nobody holds that against me. Or I could just really leap up and go down chromatically into the note, like in example 3 over here. So. You could be even more wildly inventive if you just want to go crazy. At that point, it stops sounding like inner voice movement, and it starts sounding like a totally crazy kind of fill in the middle of your hand. Now, you might have noticed, by the way, that I'm using the hand that's only playing 2 notes, because I actually can very easily hold this pinky and use fingers 1, 2, 3 to get up to all kinds of madness in here. I could, so if I wanted to do something on the left hand, what I would do is I would take 3 notes in the right and only 2 in the left. Sorry. So you've got to, of course, have the fingers available to play these inner voices in the way that you want. So I would plan your hand distribution accordingly. Again, here's 3 in the right, 2 in the left. And here's 3 in the left. I know it's hard to see the thumb down there. And 2 in the, only 2 in the right. And notice that on some of these, I'm sharing this note. So all I do is I pick up this finger when this finger's gonna play it, and then I put it right back down. All right, let's get into a little bit more movement so I can connect between notes in different chords. So here, what I'm doing is I'm connecting between a C, the 5th of the F minor 7 chord, and a D, the 3rd of the B flat 7. I chose these because they're just a step away from each other, of course. And so I thought we could have some fun coming up with different connections. So of course we could go straight from one to the other. Right, so it's kind of nice because this makes it sound almost like it's a D flat major chord for a second. And I didn't put any of this in there, but we could do interesting kind of repeated notes. It could be. Now example 2 kind of shows something similar. Just a slightly different connection between those notes. Again, a lot of half steps. We could say that the B is a lower neighbor to the C, and then the C sharp's a passing tone leading to the B flat. We could also kind of surround, do more of an enclosure of that D. And we could combine those two. go too crazy with these, then it starts sounding like something different. So there I'm connecting between two important notes. It could also be that I connected between the 7th of the F minor and the 3rd of the B flat. I didn't write that out, but just ornamenting that connection. So I'm not doing really anything fancy harmonically. All I'm doing is I'm kind of highlighting a little spot in the chord that I think is interesting and worthy of note. Number 4 is that we could actually now introduce some new tensions. Okay, and what I did here is I did kind of a lower neighbor into the 5th of the F minor 7. Instead of starting on C, you can see we're starting on B natural. I'll make that a little smaller so you can see it better. Too many things I want to show on the screen. So, and then similarly, I did a lower neighbor to the 3rd of the B flat 7. So here in context, this very first example would sound like this. And of course, we could then ornament that. Okay, so these are lower neighbors. We're introducing a tension. And the important thing about introducing a tension is that you resolve it. You can introduce just about any tension as long as you resolve it correctly, right? So this would not sound good if it were just... It's all in the resolution of these tensions. Okay, looking at the second example. This should look familiar to you by now. I'm just decorating it with a little lower neighbor. The next one should look familiar too. It's just a different decoration. I'm kind of enclosing the note that I'm resolving to. I wanted to show you as well that I could delay these notes, just again to highlight them a little bit. I could even kind of put them all on offbeats. I don't know if that totally matches the style I was playing in before, but it's kind of nice. I really went wild on this next one. Just making really fancy decorations. And then the last example is kind of another enclosure, but with a little delay. I didn't have any fingers. So there's so many different decorations. I'm just scratching the surface here, but I wanted to show you some of the possibilities. The last thing is really important too, which is to use suspensions. So when you have a suspension, you're holding over a note, and my app is not being cooperative. Let me see if I can get it to cooperate. Well, this is not the best. This is the kind of production quality that you expect from this YouTube channel, I hope. So with a suspension, I just have to hold this here for a second. Oh no, it's being so difficult. You can see that this E flat from the F minor 7 is holding over to beat 3, even as the chord changes to B flat 7. And then it's resolving. I don't think I can hold it and play it. Here, I can hold it with one hand. This is the famous 4-3 suspension that you hear all the time in church music, but it's used so often and so beautifully in jazz too. So I'll play that first example one more time. And of course we can ornament that suspension as well. just as fancy and as florid as you want. All right, so I think that's it for this subject of creating inner voice movement. Let me just play a little bit more for you so that you can watch my fingers create inner voices. And I'm going to make my keyboard a little bit bigger so that hopefully you can see it. Give me just a second. Again, this production value, I think it's just through the roof today, so I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks for your patience with me. So watch my inner voices. There's a little suspension. Lecture, I guess, video, that gives you some ideas on terms of how to create suspensions and decorate them and different kinds of inner voice movement. Just a reminder, if you like me, you'll love my book. Playing Solo Jazz Piano. I'll send you a signed copy from jeremysiskind.com. Please like and subscribe and comment, and I'll see y'all soon.